Earlier I made a video about the Cleveland Browns Shador Sanders situation, right? Where I say, oh, this is an example of people willing to cut off their nose to spite their face, right? People willing to let the ship sink as long as you're not the reason why it stays afloat, right? Some people rather lose, right, than let you be the reason why they win. And a lot of people in the comments were like, wait a minute, HQ. This sounds political as well. I said, whoa, what do you mean? They said, well, it's the same thing with Kamala Harris. They'd rather put Donald Trump in office and then watch the country sink, right? Rather than let Kamala Harris be the reason why the shit stays afloat. And I said, you know what? You had a point. But at the same time, then I get a notification saying U.S. layoffs set to surpass the Great Recession levels, on track to be the worst since the Great Depression. Now, I'm not disingenuous enough to tell you that this is all because of Trump, right? I'm educated enough to give you a little bone, right, before I get back to entertaining, and tell you that we have been on this course for a while, right? We're over leveraged, borrow, the dollar's getting weaker. We don't reinvest back into our communities, the middle class is weak. Like we've been doing this for about 50 plus years or so, right? Since the days around Reagan and them, right? But one thing I will tell you is that I know, right, that Donald Trump is the least equipped to handle such a situation. In fact, I could argue he's worse in the situation. He's sped it up. The touch that you needed, not only because she's a woman, the touch that you needed were people that are going to be diplomatic, right? People that would present to the world that you could still trust us, because what was keeping the dollar afloat for a while, other than our military industrial complex, was the fact that we were America. You could trust us with trade. You could trust us with the dollar. You could trust us that we're going to have your back when it comes to certain strat. Like, that was what was keeping things in order. But now people are looking at America. You got tariffs left and right. The person that y'all put in place, that you said you can't have a woman as a president because women are too emotional. The person that you put in place, every single day he wakes up with something new. Right? But let's get into other things that has me going. Maybe it's time to ring the alarm. Maybe it's time to start pointing out to people saying, hey, I told you so. But instead, you'd rather risk the ship sinking than put a black woman in office. Let's go into this. Buddy's set to announce $12 billion in aid for farmers impacted by tariffs. Class, question. Who implemented the tariffs in the first place? Let's keep going. For the first time in 25 years, child mortality rates for preventable diseases are projected to increase. RFK is your health secretary. That base over there that elected that man, that's the one that's going on over there spewing all types of nonsense about vaccines. It's almost like there are consequences for elections. Let's keep going. This is so bad, the Labor Department is canceling the inflation report. What in the North Korea? I done told y'all it's going on here. It's so bad they won't show you the numbers. And if you're wondering, Business Insider says applying to a job in 2025 is the statistical equivalent of hurling your resume into a black hole. I've told you all once, I've told you all twice, I've told you many times. For a lot of us in the Northeast, we've watched Donald Trump sink a bunch of ships. We've watched a bunch of businesses declare bankruptcy. We have told you multiple times. That is not the person that you should be putting your vote for to lead you to prosperity. But on top of that, if you got a ship that needs some work, a lot of work, and you need a thorough diplomat, you need sensible, calm people in office. The president that has trolled more than any president in United States history is probably not the person you should have trusted. But instead, you'd rather watch the whole shit sink than elect the person that could stood a better chance to get you to the promised land. And this also speaks to the fact that, let's just boil it down, it boils down to certain things. A lot of us millennials, or a little older than that, some of the Gen X's and stuff, this tracks, doesn't it? Almost every single recession, almost every single economic downturn, put a Republican in power, boom. And then they're going to line it up and say, hey, Democrat, get to work, fix it.